That's good.
Thank you, Olivier, for not reminding me to hit record. But I did. Okay. So welcome, everyone, to the Joomla Users Group of New Jersey. We're going to be talking about custom fields, and then we're going to add some more robustness to it by combining it with latest news enhanced. To start off this workshop, we're going to all build just a base Joomla website. So if you go in the document that I have on the hands-on workshop page in the Joomla User Group of NJ's website, there is a document that says CustomFields.pdf. You could click on that PDF, and that's basically what I'm going to be walking you through. It's not a slideshow, it's an actual document to walk you through step-by-step of everything we're going to do today. The first step is to go to launch.joomla.org, and the purpose of that is that we can all just build a base Joomla website. So launch.joomla.org. If anyone has any issues during this session, you can just send me a message in the app, and I can help you out. So for the site name, you could give it any site name, Laura, Gordon, whatever you want it to be, Joomla.com. You need to give a valid email address. Make sure you write that down because cloudaccess.net is going to send you an email with the user ID and login information. So you have to put that in there. The next thing I want you to do is go to Advanced Settings and make sure you select the Cloud Access template. It's important we're all using the same template because we're going to be modifying the CSS. So, yes.
There's three options. Protostar, Cloud Base 3.
Yep. I want Cloud Base 3. And on page 3 in the document, I mentioned that. So under Select Advanced Settings, Joomla version 3.9, pre-installed template Cloud Base 3. Just as another note, one thing I noticed when we did this in Joomla Day Florida, when the users selected the Protostar template, for some reason, JCE Editor did not come installed. Not sure why, not a big deal, not the end of the world, but I'm just letting you know if you decide to have any of your users build a free site with this, if you at least do Cloud Base 3, at least it has by default JCE Editor if that's what you're expecting. So obviously when you're doing a workshop and you're expecting everyone to have the same editor, it's difficult if you all have different templates and different editors. So anyway, if you can just select Cloud Base 3. You want to click on the I agree. You do not need to help support Joomla unless you want to. I am not a robot. You want to click on that, and then you want to click on Launch Now. After you click on the Launch Now, it's going to take a little while, and it's going to then send you an email of what your new site is. So I'm going to give everyone just a few minutes to be able to just load this initially. And hold on, let me see, where is, okay. And just checking, you guys are good. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, Eddie, are you running through the install? Good, so you're a good timer for me. So Eddie here is running the install. Okay. All right, and in the document, I also walk through that. Once it's installed, you're going to be going to your site, sitename.joomla.com/administrator, which I know everyone that's on this call knows how to do. And I'm just going to log in. Eddie, let me know what's happening.
I'm logging into the new website.
It gave you the email already?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Okay. So Eddie already got his email, so I'm assuming those in virtual worlds are okay as well. And you just built a Joomla website. The class is over. Congratulations. Okay. So now as far as the fields go, so in order to build custom fields, you need to have a category to build them in. So since we're all coming from scratch, I wanted to have the same category layout. So we're going to create a category called movies. Eddie, if you're slowing down at any point, raise your hand, let me know.
What's happened, I'm sorry, what I actually logged into was the Cloud Access Code Panel.
Okay, so you're going to get a second email.
I'm now going to the second email.
So those of you in virtual world, you will get 2 emails from Cloud Access. One is how you can access the cPanel in Cloud Access, their version of it, and the second email is the Joomla administrator. And just so you know, this is a complete full administrator. You have complete FTP access. You can install anything you want. The only thing that you have to keep is you have to keep that domain name. Mine is CustomFields.joomla.com, and you have to keep renewing it. You don't have to pay for it, but the longest you can have it is for 1 month, but then you can renew it for another month. So basically, you just have to keep working with it to keep extending it.
It's not HTTPS.
By default? No, that's good. I wonder if we set...
No, you can type HTTPS.
You can probably turn it on, yeah.
You can.
Okay, so I'm just waiting for Eddie to come in.
Okay, I'm logged into my Joomla.
All right, you're in? Okay, I see someone else just jumped in. Hi, Kate, welcome. Kate, if you go to the document on page 5, we just installed a blank Joomla website. I know you already know how to do that. And basically, we're starting with creating a category. So it's up to you if you want to follow along with us or if you want to just grab one of your other Joomla sites and just use that. That would be perfectly fine. And I assume you can hear me okay, right, Kate? I'm assuming you just called in. So, okay, I'm going to keep going. Eddie, you're good? All right. So for the category we're going to create, we're going to go to Content and Categories and add a new category. And I have it on page 5. And the category title is going to be Movies. And again, if you want to do something different, that's perfectly fine. And forgive me because I'm using Olivier's computer and the keyboard's slightly different. The Shift key, is this a French keyboard or something? It's a little different, yeah. The Shift is like in a weird spot. Okay, so I'm going to create a category called Movies, hit Save. And then I want to create, oh, it already exists obviously because I did this before. So basically you want to create a category called Movies. And then the goal, what I'd like you to do is create a couple of other categories within movies. I know we can all do that quickly. Action, cartoon, musical, if you want to create a family one as well. The goal is we got to get content in here. So in order for us to be able to do some interesting things like filtering with latest news enhanced, you really want to see your data in multiple categories, just so you can see some of the power there. So if everyone can just create a handful of categories, and if you could just send me a message when you've done that, that would be great. So give another minute or so to create categories. I'm assuming no one in this group needs to know how to create a category, correct? Yeah. All right, they're good. Yeah, you guys are good. They're not answering.
I failed the exam today, so.
No, you were close. You were close. Eddie passed a couple weeks ago.
It's a hard one.
But he's also managing over 120 Joomla websites since what year, Eddie?
2006.
2006, he's been managing the Joomla websites at Rutgers that we didn't even know that Rutgers had Joomla websites.
I was with Mambo when we started.
Yeah. So there you go. And we didn't even know it existed. So anyway, Eddie, tell me, where are you at? Did you create the category? Good. Okay. So I'm going to assume everyone created the subcategories, and I give you the exact information here. And also, just as a note for those of you that don't know, bottom of page 5, if you accidentally created your categories like action, family, or whatever, and it wasn't in the parent category of movies, you can batch them. So you can select them all, select a bunch of them, and you can go to batch and you can easily move them if you need to a different parent or something like that, if you accidentally created them and you didn't put them in the right place. So I made it an assumption that people would mess that up, so that's why I put that in on number 5, how you could do it via batch. And the only reason why is because when I did it myself, I forgot to hit parent category. So anyway, okay, and if we go over to page 6, I just take the next step through the batch process. The next step is when we create the fields, we're going to, one of the fields we're going to create is a media field, is an image field. So the best way to do that is we already need a folder that we're going to put those images in. before we create the field. So an easy way to just create the media folder, if you go to our, content and media, if you have the Joomla content editor, you could do it there as well. And you want to create a new folder. I think I called my folder Movies, real creative. So if everyone can just create a Movies folder in just your root images directory. Again, and what's really neat about this is that means when you have your custom fields, by default, it's going to go to that folder, which is a really nice thing. So that's why you want to create that first. So on 6, I just walk you through how to create that folder. Any questions? Okay. Am I going too fast? You're okay. You're following? Okay. All right. Field groups. So now let's get into the fields. So this is just the base set. So field groups, I find field groups kind of strange. I got to be honest with you. All the field group is the tab that the fields are going to display in. It's a way of organizing them as well, but you cannot assign categories to the groups. The categories are assigned to the specific fields of detail, not at the group level. That's why I keep getting thrown off. Before we go to the next step, I just want to show you what I mean, what the field group is, and this you can just watch along. If I just look at this movie, this article that I already created, see this thing called Custom Fields? That's the group name. So if I had 2 groups, I would have 2 fields up here, 2 tabs, one saying Custom Fields, another saying Custom Fields 2. What I found doing this over time is I'm finding it easier to keep these groups kind of general because, again, the groups are not defined by category. So if you make 20 different groups, your fields are going to end up in different tabs, which gets very difficult to get through. So if you have, I'm going to go back to records. We have faculty. You have faculty fields. Good, to make a group for faculty. I have course fields. That's fine. But we had one thing where should I also create a tab for alumni fields? Well, the alumni fields are pretty much the same as the faculty fields. We'll just create a group called people fields. Make it general, because or else you're going to have to remember which tab am I going to when I'm editing that data. Okay, so I would keep it more general. At least that's what I found easier about it. So now if we go to field groups, to create the fields on page 7, you can see I already created it. You just click on New, and you create it. Give it a title. You can give it a description, publishing. There's really not much here. Display when read only or not, and permissions. I mean, that's really it. There's, so again, think of it as more high level. So I created a group called Custom Fields, and you can do the same thing. And I am checking the messages, so if anyone has questions, just shoot me a chat, and I'll stop. Now for the fields. So for the fields, I put in here on page 8 in the booklet, we're going to create 4 different fields just to start. Every field has a different set of properties associated with it. So if I go to Fields and I click on New, I don't really see the properties. Some of them I will see, but it really depends on the type of field that I create. And depending on the type of field, they'll have different default values to them. And I think I went through, let me just double check. Yeah, let's do the media field first. Yeah, we'll do that one first. So the first field, we'll do the media field. So in the title, you can call it movie image. And that was fun that cursor just did that. Movie image. I'm going to call mine movie image 2 because, as I said, I already did this. In the type, so there's all these different types. Okay. The type for media or for an image is called media, which is right over here. Yeah, that's it. So you select media. You'll notice after you do that the page changes a little bit. You want to make sure to select the field group of custom fields. Plus, you want to select what category this field is going to be associated with. So you can say movies. And if I could spell, that would be great. Okay. You can select more than one category. Now, there was an error, I think it was about a month ago, but I think it's been fixed in the newest version, where when you selected 2 categories, the field actually showed up twice,
Yeah, I saw that.
right? Remember that, Eddie?
I did.
Yeah, that was fun. So all of a sudden, like we had faculty pages where their pictures were showing up twice on the page because we assigned that field to more than one category. That has since been fixed. Yes?
I tried it,
It's still broken. Great. Okay, so that's still broken. So select a higher level category when you're organizing this. So, or select all. But if you select all, then that field is going to show up on all the articles. So you want to just organize in a way. What I did to fix it was I selected a higher level, and then I guess it fixed it, but it really didn't. So they didn't fix it in Joomla yet.
No, because I ran into it yesterday.
Great. Okay. So that seems like that's still a bug. There you go. So select a higher level category so you don't have two images of the same person on the page, which can make people crazy. The other thing that I just want you to notice, we're not going to do this right now, is the image class. So here you can define what class will be defined to that image. Now we're going to create some classes in a little bit, so once we do, that's where you would put that. Okay. And then you could just hit save and close. And then what I'd like everyone to do is just create a handful of fields. So I'm going to just walk through each different type. I'm going to get rid of my movie image too because it already existed. So I'm going to create a field called cast. I'm editing it right now, but you can just click on new. Title it as cast. Put in a type of text. Now, one thing that's interesting, once you create a field and you give it a type, you cannot change that type. You'd have to delete the field and recreate it, which is very difficult when you have a lot of fields and you realize, shoot, I made it the wrong type, and Eddie is nodding his head because we have both done this before, and then we've had, you know, maybe you had it as a URL or you had it as a text originally, then you realize, you know what, the client really wants it as a web link. Well, you can't change it, so you have to actually create a new field. And then hopefully you have someone that can edit all of your data and move the data into the other fields. So saving as a copy, I think, is the same issue. Yeah. So it doesn't help you. Yeah, it's very sad. Anyway, I'm not asking Joomla to necessarily adjust this because I'm aware that because of all the properties that are associated with each field type, that's not that easy to do, but that's just the way it works. So anyway. So if everyone can just create a cast field. Now the summary field, let me show you the summary field. The summary field, I'm using the field type of editor instead of just long text. So that way there's an actual text editor with it. And that's the other thing that's happened to us too, is sometimes I'll make it a text and then I realize, oh, you know what? They really want to be able to bold the text in there. They want it as an editor. So you can't just change it, which is bad. So you do have to create a new field. And again, hopefully you have someone. And I encourage you, hire a high school student to move all that data when you have to do that. They're good at it, and they can make a couple of dollars, and it makes everybody happy. So if everyone can please just create a couple of fields, the end result is that we all have, I guess, 4 fields here. And if you don't do it exactly the same as this, it's fine. So all I did was a media field, and you can see in the type, I did 2 text fields and an editor field. Again, my goal here was just trying to keep it simple. Okay, so now, okay, on page 9, I go through, oh, I forgot something. Good. See, it's good I have my notes. So if everyone can go back into the movie image field, there is a nice setting in here called directory. So if I scroll down, remember the directory we created before, I can select what directory the data is going to automatically get put into when I create this field. So when I upload an image for the field, it's going to automatically put it into the movies folder. Very important, because you don't want your images all over the place in the root folder, especially if you're having people upload images from the front end maybe, things like that. So you want to be careful of that. Don't worry about the image class yet, because we're going to do that later. We have to create the class first, which we didn't do yet. So, okay, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so far so good? All right, so everyone has the fields. Now, let's start adding some content. So if you go into content and articles, we all should know how to create a new article. And if you click on new, when you create a new article, notice up here there is no Custom Fields tab. And the reason why is because I did not select my category yet. So you're not going to see the tab up here until you select the category, unless your fields were for all categories. So if I select movies, it refreshes, and now I have my Custom Fields tab. Okay, so I had the movie image, cast, score, and summary, which is that editable, the text editor field. So if I go into content, for the title, let's call it Chicago. I'm going to call it Chicago 2. Again, if you want to call it something else, it's perfectly fine. In the content, I'd like you to put a couple of paragraphs about the movie. If you want, you can go to loremipsum.com, or if you want, you could go to like a movie. It's Lauren Ipsum. What is it? It's just lipsum.com? Thank you. Love that. Love that. Okay. So if you go to lipsum.com, you can generate this text, or if you prefer, you can go to a movie site or something, you know, whatever you like to do. But you got to scroll all the way down. Where's the button? Where's my button?
It's in the middle.
It's in the middle. Why? Here it is. Okay. All right. So that's an accessibility error, because if I couldn't see it, that's a problem. Okay. Anyway, so if I click on generate, there's my text, so I can easily copy a couple paragraphs just to use as dummy data. Control-C to copy, and get back in here, and then I can paste it so I have text. The reason why I want you to put a lot of content in is because if we do like the category blog view, and then we do latest news enhanced, I want you to be able to see the difference between your different fields and the content. Just so you could see that. And then if you go to Custom Fields, if you click on Select, and I'll walk you through, we're going to add data for the field. So if I hit Select, that's interesting that the movie folder wasn't opened, which it should be.
I think that's from the
Didn't I select it? What?
Yes, for the movie edit, the JSE editor menu, the program.
It worked the other day, though, because I did this. That's strange. Okay, so I don't know why that didn't do what it was supposed to do, but that's fun. So anyway, so if you click on the movies folder, if yours isn't already selected, I already have images in here, but you can upload an image if you like, get the image from wherever you like, and you want to select it and hit insert, and you're going to see it get saved into the movie image right here. Oh, I know why. I know why. Okay, when I hit the select, that's to select the image. It doesn't matter what folder I'm pulling it from. When I save it, it's going to save it into the movies folder. Sorry about that, guys. That's my error. Does everyone understand what I just said? Marion, do you understand what I just said? Yes? Okay. My brain wasn't collecting right there. So basically, if I selected an image from another folder, like rocket theme, if I click on this image, SS1, and hit update, when I save this record, this image is going to get saved into the movies folder. So, yeah. Okay, cast, you can give it a cast, you know, Mary, whatever. The score, I was just saying, like, what did it get? It gets 100 because I love Chicago. Okay. Summary, you want to put one paragraph in here. Again, my purpose is I want you to see the difference between your content and your field. Because the key here is to think about, when should I be using content? When should I be using individual fields? And it's a very fine line. I have to say, with a lot of our sites now, I'm starting to do more with fields than just skipping the content altogether, because I have a lot of control over these fields. I love databases, and this is pretty much my Joomla database all in core. It's really powerful stuff here. And just so you know, CSV importer can now import from a spreadsheet into custom fields in articles. So I can now bring data in, which was the reason why I used Sobi 2 years ago, and Mozet's tree was because I needed to import 1,000 records of data. I don't need another tool anymore. You can do it right with Joomla. So anyway, it's pretty exciting. So if you go to page 11, I'm basically just asking if everyone on their own for just a few minutes, I know Eddie's typing away, is just to create a couple of articles. Again, we just need content in your system so you have stuff to work with. And then what I want you to do, and because my style's already in, oh, I just thought of a way to fix it. Okay, I already did the style, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove my styling, so that way my page is going to look the same as yours. And then we're going to put it back in. So just hold on while you guys are all editing and adding lots of movies to your system. I want you to add different movies into different categories, so this way you can see what it looks like to have lots of stuff in there. And then we're going to create a menu item. So I'm just getting rid of any styling that I may have put in here, so that way you can see what it looks like just doing nothing at all. So that way we're clean. Okay. So now the next step is we're going to create a blog view menu item. And let me just give a minute. Eddie, how are you doing? You're my time.
I'm only in my second article, but I'm just caught up in.
Yeah. When you create the articles, my suggestion is just do a copy, you know, and just copy them and just change the name slightly so you have a handful. If you want some ideas, I created Jumanji and Mary Poppins, The Goonies, Toy Story, Aladdin. Another thought is you can do this with tags instead of categories. But I just had a feeling we'd run out of time. But if you want to do something with tags, Latest News Enhanced does a really cool filtering with the tags, which is great. So that way Mary Poppins is a family and kind of a cartoon because it has cartoon stuff in it, which means I wouldn't use a category structure. I would use a tagging structure instead. Joomla Core is getting better at that. It's still not great with the organization yet. They're getting better. I know I created an issue on the list for them to add tags to the article list function. I don't know if they finished that yet because you can select by tag at the category blog view if you do featured articles, but they didn't do it with the list yet, but they're going to because someone's working on it. So I think that may sneak in, may not be until Joomla 4, but we'll see. Making sure no one's talking. Okay. So if you want to create a blog, it's menus, main menu, and add new menu item. Let me just go into here. So if I create a new menu item, I just go to new. I'll wait.
I saved my article and gave me the URL. /administrator/PHP is not found. So let me try again.
Is anyone running into any errors?
Yeah.
I'm just holding on a second. Could it be your whole site went down?
Yeah.
Like my site's still up.
Yeah.
Really? While you were on launch.joomla? Oh, that's fun. Great. Okay. Did anybody else's sites go down or we're okay?
For 5 minutes I was out.
All right. I haven't heard, so I guess we're okay. All right. Is everybody still there?
Yeah, the front end.
My virtual friend, mine board. Okay. All right. So it sounds like, okay, so Mark's crashed. So that's good. I managed to crash the entire Cloud Access server here. That's fun. So if you can just reboot your system, I'll give it a second. I would reboot, I would exit out of Joomla and see if you can go back in. Yeah. Yeah, mine is still on, but let's see. Yeah, I'm still on.
Your admin should be out also.
Yeah, I'm still okay. You're going to watch now, Mark? Okay. That's fine. Eddie, do you mind if I keep going?
You keep going, yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to get back in.
Okay. All right. And actually, if you don't build everything at this point, it's really okay. You could watch and see. The key is to build the styles. You want to be able to come back to build the styles with me if you haven't done that before. So when you create a new menu item, you're going to click on New. And I want you to create a category blog menu item. And hold on a second. Let me just find. Let's see. Still not coming on? Okay.
All right. I'll just...
It takes a couple of minutes.
Okay. So if you create a category blog menu item, I'd like you to select one of your smaller categories. If you want to select movies, that's fine, but then it's going to show the subcategories. So it's best to show a category, like a sub one that has a couple of movies in it. So I'm just selecting the action movies. For the blog layout, you can do like 10 intro articles, one column. Again, I'm just trying to keep this simple. Hit save and close, and let's see what we just did. And if I preview it, now remember, I didn't use to read more. I really didn't do anything. The image is humongous. I then have the cast right here. Okay, I did unselect the label from displaying, so that's why mine may look a little different from yours. The score, there's the score. I have the summary, that's that single paragraph. And then this is my content down here. So again, I'm doing this just so you could see the difference with the fields. This is out of the box. The only difference is the style that I created that I'm going to show you how is bolding the label. By default, none of your labels will be bolded. It'll just have it in text. So basically, you want to think creatively of, okay, so how can I really build this and design every little element? That's what we're going to do next. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. As far as hiding the label, to hide the labels, I'm going to take you over there. So if you go to Content and Fields, and first of all, when you have an image, chances are you do not want a label next to it. If you click on Options, and you want Show Label, Set to Hide. So that's the first step you're going to want to do if you have an image. So that's just a suggestion. So I set it to hide, hit save and close. The other one that I did was for cast. I also hid that label. So I set that to hide. So it just had, you know, the people in there. So, you know, that's up to you on how you want to display the content. And if we go over to page 12, okay. Now let's create some classes. So are you guys ready to do some classes? Eddie, you're good?
Yeah, I'm done.
You're good? Okay.
My front end's down, but my back end's up.
Great. Okay. It's just fun. All right. So the first thing is I'm going to make an assumption. In order to create custom classes, you have to know the template that you're using. So every template is going to follow their custom area in a slightly different way. So you just have to keep that in mind. What I'm showing you here is using the gantry framework because of that cloud access template that we're using. In most sites, if you look on page 12, in theory, you go to the template folder, whatever that is, and then possibly in CSS or possibly it's in the root template folder, you just create a file called custom.css. Chances are that will work. Not guaranteed to work though, so I'm just letting you know you want to look up your template, whatever framework you're working with, you want to go to their website and ask them, how do I create custom CSS? And just follow those instructions.
So that is the field in the parameters.
Yes, so in UTheme, they now have the warp, well, no, it's called UTheme. It's not warp anymore, right? It's the UTheme Pro template. There is an actual field where in the customizations where you actually put in the custom CSS, whatever that code is. So that could differ a little bit. But on page 12, I looked it up and I gave you a link for Cloud Access and how to create the customization. And so it told me HTTP docs template, so it's whatever your site is, /template /cloudbase3, /CSS/cloudbase3-custom.css. So that is the exact name of the file we have to create. Once we create that, we can put any styles in there that we want. And so that's on page 12. You jump over to 13, how to create these files. So in the newer version of Joomla, and the past couple of years, they've made the editors a little bit better if you're editing them online. Of course, you can do it via FTP or any other tools that you may have. But if you go to Templates and Styles, so this is just the backwards way that I always go through it. It's not necessarily the right way. And I put it there on page 13, and I circled it for you. I always just click on Cloud-Based 3 right here. Whenever I click on that, I'm taken to where I want to go. So if everyone can click on that to the right, or whatever template you're in, I'm going to now see the structure on the left-hand side of all of the files and folders that I'm working with. The next step is I want to create a new file, right? So we're creating this custom file. So I click on New. Remember, you want to have already done your research ahead of time. Don't just start creating files if you don't know exactly where to put it. The file name is going to be that file name that I had on that prior page. So I'm going to bring that back up again. It's cloud-base3-custom. And then you select the field type of CSS. You don't have to put a .css there. Do not hit create yet. Do not touch anything yet. You have to select CSS on the left. And I have that on page 13 on the bottom, and I can't tell you how many times I've done this create and forgot to select the folder on the left, and then I cannot find where the bleep the file went because I didn't select the folder. So make sure you select the folder before you hit create. It happens to everyone because the UX design, and as I get my master's in it, I will be able to teach them how to do this properly. No. The flow does not work to a regular person. If I'm going over here on the right, I'm not going to remember to then go over to the left, although if I read Hebrew, I can go right to left, but that's not what people are doing here, so it's a little backwards. Anyway, so if you click on create, and I'll probably get an error because it already exists, but all of you should not get an error. And then in theory, if I click on that CSS folder, I will see that file in there and be very excited that I did it correctly. So I can click on the file. Now, I've already added stuff to it. One nice thing that has been added to the editor, it was a couple years ago, and I forgot his name, but it was through the Google Summer of Code. And I met him, I drove him up, and I can't believe I forgot his name, from Jersey to Boston. And he added, I think, the line numbers. There didn't used to be line numbers here. There's line numbers now, so that's really nice. So anyway, here you can build whatever styles you want to do different things to those fields. So basically, in your fields, if you already have a certain way you want it to be displayed and you already have these styles defined in your template, you could use them. It's perfectly fine. But what I wanted to walk you through is just different little ideas that you can do. And on page 14, I give you the exact text. So image-150. So when you're looking at an image in a summary view or even in a detail view, you're not going to want that image to fill up the whole page. Now, no matter how many times we tell our clients to resize the images before they put them up there, and we beg and plead, it doesn't happen. So with this, I'm basically saying, listen, dude, I'm going to display it as a max width of 100 px or 150 or whatever I want it to be. So that way, that image is always going to show in the same width. Now, by doing it as a max width and setting the height to auto, it's not going to scrunch up the image because, again, even if we tell our clients it needs to be a portrait in this type of format, they tend to not necessarily follow those instructions of a 4:3 or a 2:1 or whatever. So this way, at least the image won't be completely squashed, although it does look better if it's the same size.
The ratio.
If they do the right ratio. But again, this, we're relying on the clients for that. So I gave you here just some different ones, so I'll just go over them. So the image-150, I don't know why I set the max width to 100, but I called it 150. We could set it to 150, that's fine. So if you want to put in some different styles in here, so image 150, the next one is field label. So I made a decision that for my entire website, anytime I use the label, I want it bold. So I'm not creating a different style. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm literally converting every single label displayed is going to be bold. You can do that, or you don't have to. That's up to you. If you want it to be page dependent or anything like that, you can. But this field, if you use field-label, it's going to apply that style. So if you color it red, it's going to be red every time you use a label. These other two are caps gray medium. So this is something we did here over at Rutgers. So basically, if we want to display the text in all capital letters in gray, and we're calling it a medium size. So it's not huge, kind of medium. Yes, that's why I called it medium. And then another example is large bold. So we want something to be really large, and we want a certain line height, and we want it to be bold, so dark. So I just created a couple of samples for you that we can then apply to the field. Does anyone have any questions here? We're okay? You guys in the room are good? Yep? Okay. To assign the styles to the fields on page 15, let me just walk you through that. So if you go into Content and Fields, and, oh, I'm sorry, you have to close out of this template. That's annoying too. Yes, it is. Maybe Elisa will fix that in the Joomla 4 backend.
Especially in editing mode, they don't want you to browse out of editing.
Right, yes, but you're not really editing anything. So anyway, okay, so if you go to Content and Fields and go to Movie Image, now to apply the fields, I don't know why they did this. I really don't. If everyone can go into their media field. So in the media field, the class that you use goes in a different place than the other classes. And again, I'm not sure why. I would have rather had this image class be on the rendering class page under options. That would make more sense to me, but it's not. So image class is here, and you put in here, and I give you the example, and Eddie, now I'm forgetting. Do I put the dot? No, I don't put the dot. Now I'm forgetting. My brain is fried. Okay, so I put in here image dash, no, it's top. Didn't I call it top?
Image dash 150.
Image dash 150, thank you. Okay, that's at Rutgers we call it that. Okay, so call it image dash 150. And then you can do some things to the other fields. So I gave you the step for the cast field. Oh, I spelled caps wrong. Aw, man, hate that. You missed that. Olivier checked my document. He didn't find it. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. So if you click on options, so notice in the text field there's no image class because it's not an image. So now I go to options. And from here, let me just walk you through this because this I got a little confused. The form options is how it displays on the form, meaning when I'm entering data. So I'm entering data on the front end, for example. You may want to change some of the ways that different things display. On the front end, the way it displays is in render options. That's where that part is. So you put it in render class, and that's where you would put caps, C-A-P-S, dot gray dash medium, and then you could hit save and close. And then, let's see, movie image field we already did. The score field, we could do that in large bold. Again, I have to click on options, go to render class, and put large dash bold. I mean, you just want to make sure you come up with some kind of standard with whatever you decide. And then if I refresh my page, look how nice that looks. That's out of the box. And that took us a whole 52 minutes to put together. It's pretty cool. So now, it may not look exactly the way you want it, but the key is to think about ahead of time what you want the end result to be, use the fields, create the classes, and you have a database, you have a system that just works really well. And also, if now I didn't make, yeah, I did. So if I click on it, this is a category blog view. If I click on this, this is the detail page for that. So there's one thing that I'm going to show you. I didn't put this in the document, but I want to show you guys because I personally think it's a bug. Let's say in my article, I put a read more in my action movie. I know you don't like it, but here's the thing. If I'm doing a category blog view and I don't want all that text to show, if I put a read more, in theory, the bottom stuff shouldn't show and just my field should show, right? But let me show you where the bug is. So if I go to search tools, I just go action movies, and I select Avengers. I'm just going to do it for Avengers. And I put in, not the summary, in content. And this, again, is why you may stop using content altogether, is I click there and I hit read more. Okay, and I hit save and close. Let's just see what this does out of the box. So now I refresh. Okay, looks good, right? So I have my text, I have a read more, I can click on it, and now I can see everything. So this is my concern. What if, and I think Brian Tiemann closed it, so I'm not sure why. What if I don't want the score on the summary page? Like, I don't want that showing here. I want that only when I hit read more. Okay, so I go into the field, and Olivia, you know my problem?
Yes.
You do. So if I go to score, because I don't want that on my summary page, right? I think that's a fair thing. So I go down here and I select to show after display, right? After display. Now, what do you guys think the end result should be if it's after the display? Should it show up on the summary page?
It shouldn't be like this.
Watch what it does. You tell me if this is how it should work. Why? If it's after display and I have a read more, it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong, but that's the way they want it to function.
I think that's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they don't call it a bug. They're saying that's the way it's supposed to work. That's okay. What do you want me to look at, Marion?
Go back to where you were before, to the article.
The field to the article. This is the summary.
No, I'm sorry. In context.
Yep. Article. Avengers. Yep. Marion's asking me to come back here. In the field itself, right? Okay. All right. So I'm going back to field. Okay. Score. So I said, now there is an option to do not automatically display. But I think then it doesn't show it at all. Right, it won't show it unless I manually put it into the article.
Means that you're going to use the plugin bracket.
Right, you can use the plugin bracket to manually display a field in an article, but I don't want to do that. There should be an option, if you ask me, to not show on a summary page or to show after a read. If it's yeah.
From the blog layout, how it's built in.
Yes.
So you need to make an override if you want to get rid of that.
Yes. So Olivier said, if you guys didn't hear, is if you want to get rid of it, you have to create an override in the category blog view. Or it's a good segue. In a few minutes, Olivier is going to show us how to do this with latest news enhanced. And then you can select what fields you want to display on that summary view. Because that's what I'm having an issue with, is that I want more control over my summary view. Because I don't want the score to show up, or I don't want certain things to show up on the on that summary view. And the way they have it now is I don't have that option. Marion, does that, let's see? Okay, any questions or anything?
What is the syntax of the plugin bracket?
If you go to the editor, you have the option, the button.
I think it's a button, yes. So I'll show you guys. So Eddie just asked what is the, so for the score, let's say I do not automatically display the score, okay? So I don't automatically display it. So when I refresh it, it's not going to show up on the page at all. If I click on it, it is no longer showing up. It's gone, right? But on this page, because it scored a great score, I want to show it. And this is nice, but I'm not sold on this. But basically, in the content, I can click here, and I can manually put the field. So I think it's field. Here we go. I can click on field, and I could select score. So it's going to be field 4. Hit save. I can refresh, and now it'll show me the score here. And in theory, it should not show it on the right. It does not show it here. To me, if I have 100 movies, I don't want to have to manually put in field 4, field 4. That, to me, defeats the purpose of having a system. Anyway, so it's good. When you like a system enough, you can figure out stuff. Let's see. Okay, do you guys want to see the field override? Those in virtual world, do you want to see the field, how I created the override for alt text? Anyone? Yes? You guys want to see that? Okay. So, yep, okay, good. All right. So here's an issue.